Hello students, today we are going to study the third chapter of the economics, that is money and credit. Okay, so normally before going into the lesson we could see some major things. So when we are learning about the word money, we all know what is money. Is money is a major thing that is used for the as the medium of exchange for various things. Whatever we want to purchase, we are giving the money and we are purchasing, and in the same way we are selling something also, we are getting money and we are selling we maybe a manufactured good or agricultural good, whatever it is, if we are seller, right? So in our day-to-day life, each for each and everything we are having money, we need money, right? And in the same way, credit in sense, most of the people we use credit. So credit in sense, we are getting loans from banks, that is credit. We are getting money from money lenders, that is credit. And we are borrowing money from some people, and we are saying that within 2 days or within 1 month we are giving. That is also mainly comes under credit, right? So this lesson, what it would be related to, that you know very well. So that's what we are going to study here also. So first topic is money as a medium of exchange. Okay, so here what I'm saying is, in the olden days there is no money. So at that time, how they were exchanging the goods, whatever they need, how they did? It's mainly through double coincidence of wants. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if in case, uh, say for example, you are a shop owner. Oh, sorry, you can able to we can take an example from this book itself. It is mentioned that there is a shoe manufacturer. Okay, that shoe manufacturer, he's having a pair of shoes and he want to sell it. And what he want to purchase, he want to purchase wheat with that. Okay, so so what he is going to do is, he is going to some one market area where he is ready with the shoes, and he is searching for a person who needs shoes and who is having wheat with him. So it is very difficult to identify a person who actually needs what you are having and actually has what you need, right? And if the double coincidence happens, then they exchange the goods, and that is mainly said to be called as barter system. Barter system is nothing but it is a system in which goods are exchanged for other goods. Okay, and what are the limitations that they had in barter system? What are the problems? First thing is double coincidence of wants. So all the people will not need what we have, sorry, will not need what we are having, and will not have what we need, right? So in 100 people, only 2 people will be having that thing what we need, and what they are having actually, yeah. And the next thing is difficulty of storing value, right? So until or unless we get what we need, we cannot able to store some items. Like say for example, you are having vegetables and you want to buy what, you want to buy a mobile phone with that, say for example, and no one is giving mobile phone for vegetables, then you will be keeping and storing it in your storehouse. No, it we cannot able to do. Within 1 or 2 days, if you are not selling, all the vegetables will get, it will get damaged, and what to say, you cannot able to sell it anymore, right? So that is second problem. And third thing, deferred payments. So okay, you are what, going for a market and you are selling your shoes, and instead of that shoes, one person says that I'm having what, I'm having a bed, or I'm having a cupboard. I'll give you that cupboard, and he is giving you one small cupboard. Okay, and after that you have to give that cupboard and you have to get something else. So if there is no one to buy that cupboard, means it's waste of your money, right? What I'm saying is, you cannot able to buy what you actually need. So that is deferred payments or deferred, difficult. And finally, some goods are indivisible. Indivisible in sense, what I'm saying is, if one person is bringing a handloom cloth, okay, and all the people in that market are having only the less value goods and not the value that is equal to this textile cloth, means finally there is no other go, he have to give it for, he have to exchange it for that less good, this less quality good or less valuable good that they were having, right? So these are the problems that they were having. And next we are coming into the modern forms of money. So before that, money, after the invention of money, you could know one thing, that whatever you want to sell, you can sell it for money, whatever you want to buy, you can buy it with money. So later money becomes a medium of exchange, okay. So after this barter system, money became medium of exchange. And this money in the olden days, which was considered as money in sense, mainly grains, food grains, or cattle, they were only considered as grains, so sorry, money. And after that, slowly metallic coins were introduced, like gold coins, silver coins, copper coins, in that way. And after that, later only, what, currency was introduced. Modern form of money include currency. Modern form of money means, you could say only two things, paper notes and coins, okay. And not like earlier, this modern currency does not is precious like gold or silver or copper. And this modern currency is without any use of its own. What I am saying is, it is if it is approved by the government, if it is considered as money, it is having value. If the value is not there, it is just a piece of paper, no value. So for that, we can take an example of the 500 rupees, which was 500 rupees or 1000 rupees notes. Now it was demonetized, right? And now before 2 years or before 5 years, this 1000 rupees have the value. But now that 1000 rupee note is just a paper, no value. No one will give even 1 rupee for that, right? So that is the thing. And in our country, who is having the right to issue this currency notes? That is Reserve Bank of India, and mainly on the behalf of central government. And no other person can issue currency. And if they are doing it, they will be behind the bars. And the government in India, what we are using as medium of currency or medium of exchange, money, and that money is, in our country, it is rupee, right? And no one cannot say that I won't accept this rupee, okay. So the payment can be made in rupees, and rupee is a widely accepted medium of exchange, okay. So that's what here you can see, they purchase a vegetable with money. And next, store of value. Store of value means sense, now we could know, now we are having we have sold all the agricultural produce what we have created, and we are having company in sense, we are selling all the goods, with that we are getting more money. And now what we are doing it, we are, where we will store the money where that we are having, we will store it in banks, right? So we will deposit with bank. Money is a standard of deferred payment that you all know, an agreed unit of measure that enables people to contract for future payments and receipts. This is a definition given for money, okay. And so in banks, what you will do, you will go, you will create an account over there, and you will deposit the money. And what the bank will be giving you, it will be giving a little amount of interest for you for the money that you have deposited. And the money deposited by you, how the bank will be using it, it will be using that money. What I'm saying is, the whole amount of bank deposited by the depositors, from that 75% will be given as loans, sorry, 85% will be given as loans, and only 15% of amount will be kept in bank itself as cash for the people who come for withdrawal, okay. And the interest that they were giving, that they were getting for the loans that they are giving to various people, now that amount is very much greater than the interest they are giving to us for our deposit. Okay, and in that interest only, with that interest only they are getting the salary. The bank employees will be getting the salary, and they are meeting up the expenses, and they are getting more profits. Okay, so with that only the bank is running. And now we are moving on to, and one second, you can see all the older forms of money here. And at first it was and this whole coin in Tamil it will be said as otakalna, I think so, right? And various forms of money you could see here. And this is modern forms of money, mainly coins and currency notes. And Reserve Bank of India is the only thing that is that has right to issue the money. And now we are moving on to the different modes of payment. Okay, so now only we are having online payments and digital payments, and net banking, Google Pay and everything. But in the olden days there is two types of payment only, mainly. What to say is demand draft or demand deposit, that is we could say as DD. Wherever you go in college they will ask you to take a DD and come. And in government offices they will ask, even till now the DD for process is there in many areas. So demand deposits, it is also another form of money where you will give the money and you will get the sheet of paper, that is demand deposit. And you will be giving, you will be mentioning for whom you are going to pay and how much rupees you are going to pay with your signature and everything. Okay, so that is one more thing. And this is a check. And the second thing is check. So that check is nothing but, if you are having a bank account and you are applying for a checkbook, you will be getting a checkbook, and in that your signature, you will be making a signature, and how much amount you want to pay and to whom you are paying, that you will be mentioning, and you will put a sign, so that your check will be validated. And you could whoever you want to give money, you can give that check. They can withdraw it as money also, cash also, and also other than that they could transfer it to their account also. Okay, so these are two types of payments that is made. Next we are moving on to the next thing. I said you about loans, right? So there are different types of loans that we can take from bank. Okay, so what are the types of loans? Mainly personal loans, business loan, mortgage loan, and under this many things comes like car loans, housing loan, everything, right? So okay, so normally I have already said you that 15 percentage only will be kept by the bank, and all other things will be given as loan, and in that interest only the bank runs, right? Then we can move on to the next thing, and it is a beautiful definition given about credit. Credit is nothing but loan. Credit refers to a agreement in which lender means the person who gives us loan, right? The lender supplies the borrower is the person who receives the loan amount, right? So borrower with money, goods or services in return for the promise of future payment. And before moving on to the terms of credit, we could see few things in sense. Here we are having two different credit situations. Credit situations means, first thing is we are studying about two stories. First story is a person called Salim, and he is a shoemaker, and he gets the order of making 3000 pairs of shoes, and he is not having money. So what he is doing, he needs money for hiring more workers and for stitching and pasting and everything. So in order to meet up his expense, Salim goes and gets loan from two sources. First thing is he goes to a leather shop owner, and he is asking to supply leather for him, and he promises that I will pay you later. Okay, so this is one thing. Secondly, he obtained loan from bank, and he promises to pay it later. Okay, so with that loan amount, what he buys? He buys the pasting item, stitching item and all, and already he gets the leather from leather supplier also, and he employs the laborers, and he gives them wages, and by the end of the month Salim is able to deliver the order, and he can make more profit. With that profit he pays the leather owner the amount, and he pays the bank the amount what he had borrowed. This is one type of credit. And the next type we are seeing here, what it is in sense, Swapna, a person, lady named Swapna. She is a lady having, she is a small farmer. She is having 3 acres of land and she is cultivating groundnut. And for that she gets a loan from a money lender, not bank. It's a money lender like finance companies or something else. So money lender to meet up the expenses of cultivation, and she is hoping that she can get the harvest and she can repay the loan. But in that some problem came. Mainly the season was not good and the crop was hit by the pest and the crop fails. And that is the reason. Anyhow, she uses many expensive pesticides also, but that does not make much difference. So she cannot able to repay the amount to the money lender. So at one time the debt grows over a year into a large amount, so that again she gets a new loan for cultivation. And even this year also the harvest was normal only, so she cannot able to repay the new loan. Only the old loan alone she can pay it, and even she cannot able to pay the completely the old loan. So finally she get caught by the debt, and finally there is no other go. In that 3 acres she sells a part of land to pay the debt. This is a problem between the private or private money lenders or banks and the government banks. Okay, so bank and money lending things, this is the difference. Okay, so now what all the things we are going to see is, first thing, wherever you can take loan. First if you are taking a loan, if you are taking a loan means in terms of credit, if you want a loan from a government bank, say for example State Bank of India. Okay, what all the things you need for getting the loan? First, collateral security. What is mean by collateral, ma? Collateral is nothing but it is an asset that the borrower owns. So if you want to get a loan, you should own something. Say for example you should have a land or a building or vehicle or livestock or cattle or something else, right? And other than that, some valuable thing you should have, then only they will give you a loan. Second thing is, if you are saying I am having 10 acres of land, okay, but the documents of that land should be submitted. Okay, the documents you have to submit, they will be verifying it. If it is okay, if it is true and if it is original, they will give you a loan. So that is second process. Third thing, they will be informing you the terms of loan. They will be asking you what in how many years you are going to pay the loan, or in how many months you are going to pay the loan, at what interest you are going to pay the loan, right? Everything. If private banks, at what interest they are asking, but in government banks normally they'll be having specific interest amount only. Okay, maybe for example what 4 percentage or something else. And next they'll be asking you how are you going to repay it, they'll be asking. So you may be paying through cash or through online payments or by what system, right? That is the thing. And finally, rate of interest I already said you, at what interest they are giving us the loans. So these are all the various things that you have to know if you want to take a loan, or you have to know if you are working in a bank and you are giving loan to some people. Okay, so now these are all mainly considered as the terms of credit. But what I am saying is this differs. In bank, these are all the things will be asked. But in money lenders, normally money lenders means private money lenders. People will be saying now the person giving for what the interest. They'll be saying no. Pawn shops. In many areas we could see many pawn shops. In that and all, they will not be asking anything to you. They'll be giving the money. But if you are not repaying it, they will be torturing you, and they will be filing case, or they will be getting the assets what all you are having, or else they will what they will harm you, right? So these are all the things. That is the difference between the money lenders and the bank. Okay, in bank, but one what positives of bank, in sense positives of this terms of credit organized sector, what means everything will be legal, everything will be in a proper channel. But in when we are coming to money lenders, these banks and all will not give any amount, loan amount, if you are not having anything. But money lenders will give you, if you are not having anything, they will give you money. That is the one positive of money lenders and one negative of banks. But interest amount will be less in banks, interest amount will be very high in money lenders. And if you are not paying the amount in banks, they will give you notice and everything. But these guys will not give notice, but they straight away take your lands or whatever assets you are having, right? So these are all we could learn. And here we can see variety of credit arrangements. So here what I am saying is importance of credit for farmers in rural areas. That is what we are mainly studying here. And farmers need credit to buy seeds. For example, agricultural farmers, in case they want to do farming, they need some amount for investing, for buying the seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and for electricity and equipments and everything. And there is a very minimum period of 3 to 4 months itself. Between that time, the farmer buy these inputs, he will cultivate, he will harvest, and he will sell the crop. So normally these farmers used to take crop loans. Okay, crop loans at the beginning of the season, and they will be repaying the loan after harvest. This is what happening normally in the village areas and all. Okay, and now we are going to study the what are the formal sources and what are the informal sources. As I already said you, what are the major formal sources? I said you now, commercial banks, cooperative societies, regional rural banks, all these comes under formal sectors of credit. And mainly all these formal sources of credit will be supervised by whom? The Reserve Bank of India. They only supervises the functioning of all the formal sources of loans and everything in the banks. And they collect low rate of interest. These formal sources will be collecting very low rate of interest, and they follow some well defined rules and procedures. But when we are coming to informal source of credit, the informal sources mainly be, they are like money lenders. The informal lenders include money lenders, traders, employers, relatives, even your friends. For example, you are getting money from your neighbor, it is also money lender. What they are, that is also informal source of credit. You are getting money from your friends or the person known to you, all comes under informal source. If you are not giving that money to that guy, he will beat you up, he will torture you, he will file a case on you. In that way many problems will come, right? So this is what the thing. And these people does not follow any rules or regulations. That is the important thing. And there is no proper format or procedures. There is no organization to supervise. No people can ask question to them, because these guys are private. Okay, they don't have any formal things. So there is no organization which supervises the credit activities of lenders in the informal sector. And also these people collect high rate of interest, and they do not follow any rules and procedures. Okay, and next we are going to see the source of credit in rural areas. Because in rural areas most of the people are very poor, they were under the poverty, and they don't have any source to, any documents to submit to the bank and to get loan amount. So the only way they can get loan amount or money is through money lenders. So in the rural areas and all, 30% of people goes to money lenders only, and only 18% of people only comes to the banks for getting money. And in cooperative societies 27% will go, and other than that, I'm sorry, so money lenders 30% of people will go, other informal sources 18% of people will go, but to cooperative societies 27% and banks 52%. But 52% also, what I'm saying, the people who are having land only, they will go to banks, and people who are having assets only, they will go to banks and cooperative societies. But the people not having anything will go to money lenders and other informal sources like finance companies. Next, credits in urban areas. In cities and all, most of the poor takes 85% credit from informal source only, and only 18% will go to banks and other formal sources. So in cities also mostly poor people will be there. They will not be doing agriculture and all. So they will be working in some companies. They will not be having anything. So most of the people goes to finance companies and some other informal sources to get money, 85% of the people, and rich takes more than 95% of loans from formal sources. So the rich people normally having big companies like what to say, today we see now the people like Vijay Malaya and what to say, various people like Reliance, Ambani, and like that. Rich people, they will take more than 90% of loan from formal sources only. And so that is the reason formal sources are mostly serving the rich people today. We are saying that only these banks are giving money to the rich people, but for poor people it's not giving. Only because they are the people having assets. They are the people getting loans, more loans. They are having assets, so they are purchasing, and those people are the main guys, they are not at all paying also. And now we move on to the next one. Why are the banks not advancing loans to the poor people? So as I already said you, poor people do not have anything to offer us collateral security, and second thing is banks are not available in many rural areas. That is also one main problem. And next thing is banks do not consider the poor people as credit worthy. What bank used to think is, okay, we are giving the money loan to this guy, means how do we believe that he will pay the repay the amount? If he is not paying, means he is not at all having anything also. So it is a loss for the bank, so they will not consider us them as credit worthy. And finally, poor and ignorant people find it difficult to produce the needed documents, right? They do not have any documents to produce, then how will they give? And the last type is of formal sector is self-help groups. In Tamil we used to hear it as, in village areas you could see Suya Udavi Kulukal. So what they will do is, every month they will give a little amount of money, and they will collect all the money, and with that money they will give loan to one person, and from that they will get interest. And what later, if they pay na, and then in the next month they will be giving the collecting the amount, and they will be giving to some other people. That is mainly self-help group, right? Or it is otherwise said to be called as SIG. Okay, and what to say is, the people around 15 to 20 people will be there in that self-help group, and they will be paying around 25 to 100 rupees or more. Okay, and regularly they will be paying at one particular time. The member can take small loans from the group in itself and to meet up their needs, and the group charges interest on these loans, but this is still less than what the normally money lender is giving the money for 25 10% interest, means these people will be giving only for 2% or 1%. Okay, so that is very less, right? And also in this group normally they will be getting every week they will be having the meeting, and every week they will be collecting some money as regularly, and with that they will be sanctioning the loans to various people, so that all the people will get benefited. Mainly who are the people what being there in this self-help group is the people who are doing farming and small what household works, and what to say, this what to say, some people will be doing some business in house itself, right? And in Tamil what they'll be saying is yeah, like cottage industries. In that way, those people also will be included in that. And some people, they will be with that money they will buy seeds, fertilizers, raw materials like bamboo, cloth, and everything. And for housing materials, some people will be buying this from this self-help group now. They will be buying some water, they'll be getting the loans, and they'll be buying sewing machine, handlooms, cattles, and everything. So this is a one main thing, and this is approved by government. Okay, government, and it runs it. And finally we could see the last one, and I am saying it fastly about the self-help group. So self-help group has 15 to 20 members, mostly women of the neighborhood. Each member contributes some money. Members can get small amount of loans from the group. Rate of interest is low, and it is decided by the members itself. And after 2 years the group can get loans from bank also. And importance of self-help groups: members can get loans at low rate of interest. The group will encourage the members to find self-employment. They will help the people to have their own self-employment, and members can discuss and act on many social issues such as health, nutrition, domestic violence, etc. And finally, bank will also give loans to self-help groups without any collateral. Okay, so other than this, we could see one main thing, that is Grameen Bank of Bangladesh. It is given here, and this Grameen Bank of Bangladesh is one of the biggest success stories in reaching the poor to meet up the credits they actually need. And it was started by the year 1970s and as a small project, and by the year 2018, 9 million people were its members. And this Grameen Bank of Bangladesh was there in 81,600 villages across the Bangladesh, and almost all the borrowers are women only, and they also belong to poorest section of society. These borrowers have proved that not only are poor women reliable borrowers, but they also can start and run a variety of small income generating activities or business successfully. Okay, so this is what we are learning in this lesson, and this is how the lesson gets over. I just want you guys to read it again and again so that you could understand very well and you could keep up the concept in your mind. Okay, thank you students, have a great day.